The alien princess stepped off the ship, and walked straight to him. The sky above Earth was never that quiet. But today, it was silent. The massive alien ship hovered above the city like a floating mountain. It didn't make noise. It didn't shake the ground. It just waited. People gathered in the government sector, looking up. Soldiers stood in lines. Reporters held their breath. And Jaren? He just wanted to fix the broken solar panel on the roof and go home. Jaren was not a soldier. He wasn't a scientist or leader. He was a repair tech. A normal human. A nobody. That's why he didn't understand why he had been ordered to attend the ceremony. A man in a black uniform told him, "You've been chosen as part of the Earth delegation." Jaren blinked. Me? Why? The man didn't answer. Now, standing at the edge of the landing platform, Jaren squinted at the silver ramp lowering from the alien ship. The crowd held its breath. Something was coming out. The light inside the ship changed. A soft golden glow poured out. Then she stepped into view. Tall. Graceful. Eyes like glowing water. Hair like falling metal threads. She wore a dress made of light. Every soldier stiffened. The Earth leaders bowed. But the alien princess didn't look at them. Her eyes moved slowly across the crowd. Searching. Scanning. Until they stopped. On Jaren. She began to walk. One step at a time. Not fast. Not slow. Just certain. Jaren froze. People around him moved aside without thinking. Like the air between them had changed. She stopped right in front of him. The whole world seemed to hold its breath. She looked into his eyes, her voice soft but clear. You're the one they offered me. Jaren's mouth opened, but no words came out. The alien leaders behind her looked confused. So did the Earth generals. One of them whispered, "There must be a mistake." But the princess didn't turn around. She took one more step toward Jaren. "What is your name, human?" He swallowed. Jaren. She repeated it slowly. Jaren. She smiled. Then Jaren, "You belong to me now." Gasps spread through the room. Cameras flashed. Reporters began whispering. Soldiers reached for their comms. Jaren raised his hands. "Wait. What? I don't understand." She tilted her head. "You were chosen. I accepted. This is the bond ritual." Jaren looked around. "No one told me anything." One Earth official rushed forward. "Apologies, Princess Syria. There's been a mix-up. This human is not part of the offering ceremony." The princess turned her eyes, cold now. "You lied to me?" The official froze. "And no. Just confusion. We meant to present trained diplomats." Syria looked back at Jaren. "He is not trained. He is true. That is better." She took his hand. Everyone panicked. Guards stepped forward. Guns raised, but not fired. Jaren's hand felt warm in hers. And something passed through him. Not pain. Not fear. Something soft. Like a dream he had forgotten. He whispered, "What do you want from me?" Syria's eyes sparkled. "You'll know soon. But first, you must come with me." She began walking, pulling him gently toward the ship. Jaren looked back. People stared. Soldiers shouted. Commanders yelled into radios. But he didn't move. Didn't resist. Because something inside him whispered. This moment is not wrong. It's fate. As the ramp began to close, and Earth's leaders were left shouting behind them, Syria turned to Jaren one last time. You were offered to me. But what I need is not a husband. It's something far more dangerous. And with that, the doors sealed behind them. The ship rose. And the stars above Earth shimmered just a little brighter. She was calm in public, but her eyes said something else in private. The inside of the alien ship was beautiful. Quiet. Clean. Full of soft light that moved like water on the walls. Jaren followed the princess in silence. Her steps were soft, like she floated instead of walked. Alien guards in silver armor lined the halls, but none of them looked at Jaren. Only Syria spoke. And even she said little. We will show you your room, she said. Her voice was calm. Polite. Almost bored. Jaren followed her through glowing halls and silver doors. Everything felt smooth. Cold. Too perfect. Like a dream that didn't want to wake up. They reached a small chamber. The door slid open without sound. Inside was a bed, a soft light in the ceiling, and a window that showed only stars. You will rest here, she said. He turned to her, confused. Why me? She blinked once. Because I asked for someone who wouldn't lie. And they offered you. She turned to leave. Dinner is in 2 hours. Wear the robe on the chair. She stepped out and the door slid closed behind her. Jaren stared at the door for a long time. In the mirror, the robe was soft. Shimmering. It fit him perfectly. But it didn't feel like it was made for a person. It felt like it was made for a symbol. Dinner was quiet. Alien leaders sat in a circle, speaking softly in another language. They smiled at him. Asked him if Earth food was emotional. He said yes. They nodded like that made perfect sense. Syria sat beside him. She didn't touch her food. She smiled when they smiled. She laughed once. But her eyes never left his. When the dinner ended, Syria led him back through the halls. This time, no guards followed. The lights dimmed behind them. She stopped in a small side hallway. Dark. Silent. Her face changed. The smile dropped. Her voice dropped lower too. Are they listening? Jaren asked. She shook her head. This place is blind. We only have a minute. She stepped closer. Too close. Her voice was a whisper. I didn't choose you for marriage. I chose you, to stop something. Jaren's heart started racing. Stop what? She looked around, then leaned in closer. They are planning something. A trade. A weapon. Using Earth. You were not meant to come. He stared at her. Then why me? She looked at him again. This time, her eyes weren't calm. They were afraid. Because when I scanned your face, you didn't want anything from me. That's rare. The lights flickered overhead. She stepped back. They will watch more closely now. Play the role. Be the quiet husband. And listen. She turned to leave. But before she did, she placed something in his palm. Small. Flat. Warm. Don't show it. Don't activate it until I tell you. Then she was gone. Back in his room, Jaren stared at the object in his hand. It looked like a stone, but it pulsed with soft blue light, like a heartbeat. He hid it under the pillow. Then sat down. Staring out the window. She was calm in public. Polite. Smiling. But now he knew something else. Her silence was armor. And behind it was fear. The ship kept floating through the stars. But something had changed. Jaren was no longer just a guest. He was part of something secret. And maybe, dangerous. Jaren couldn't sleep. The stars outside the window moved slowly, like they were watching him. The stone Syria gave him still pulsed under his pillow. Each beat felt stronger now. Like a warning. Or a countdown. He got out of bed, still wearing the alien robe, and looked at his reflection. "What am I doing here?" he whispered. There was no answer. Just silence. And questions. Later that morning, Syria appeared at his door. Alone again. Her smile was back. But it didn't touch her eyes. "Come," she said. "We have a walk prepared." He followed her through silver halls, into a large chamber filled with trees that glowed from the roots. Alien birds flew overhead. Fake sky. Soft wind. All controlled. Perfect. Too perfect. She walked beside him, quiet at first. Then said, "This place was built for peace. But it has never known it." Jaren looked at her. "Tell me the truth. Why did you choose me?" She stopped walking. The fake birds vanished into the fake sky. She reached for her wrist and touched the skin gently. A shimmer passed over it, and revealed something underneath. A band of silver metal. Almost hidden beneath her skin. Pulsing faintly. "They control me with this. If I speak too much, it burns. If I resist orders, it shuts down my thoughts." Jaren's eyes widened. "Why show me this?" She stepped closer. Her voice was low. Serious. "Because you're not like the others. You don't follow orders blindly. You ask questions." He crossed his arms. "So you chose me to help you escape?" She nodded once. "I chose you, because you weren't chosen. You are the one thing they didn't plan." He looked at her wrist again. "Can you take it off?" "Can I?" She shook her head. "Not yet. That's what the device is for. The one I gave you." They sat on a glowing bench beneath a strange tree. Syria looked at him carefully. "My people think emotion is weakness. They erase it from us when we're young. But I hid mine." Jaren frowned. "You hid your feelings? For how long?" Her answer came soft. "Since I was 5 cycles old. When I cried after my mother was taken. They punished me for it." He felt something shift inside his chest. "So this marriage, it's not real." She turned to him. "No. It's political. But you made it something else." He raised an eyebrow. "How?" She gave a small, broken smile. "Because when I looked at you, you didn't look at my crown. You looked at my face." There was a long pause. Only the hum of the fake wind. Then she leaned closer. "Jaren. I don't need your love. I need your choice. Will you help me?" He took a deep breath. The question was too big. Too fast. But in her eyes, there was no trick. Only fear. And hope. He nodded slowly. "I don't know what's coming. But I'm not letting you fight it alone." She looked away, blinking hard. Then whispered. "Then they'll never see it coming." Above them, the glass ceiling dimmed. Far beyond it, Earth was a small dot in space. Jaren wasn't sure if he'd ever see it again. But maybe. He'd found something more important than going home. The next day started quiet. Too quiet. Syria met Jaren in the garden chamber again. She looked tired. Eyes dimmer. Shoulders tight. "They know," she said without looking at him. Jaren frowned. "About us?" She nodded slowly. They scanned your room. They found the device I gave you. His stomach turned. What happens now? She didn't answer. Instead, she said. Whatever it is, don't let them separate us. Before he could ask what she meant, two tall guards in gold armor stepped into the garden. Their faces were hidden. Their voices cold. Princess Syria, your presence is required in the core chamber. She stood slowly. Jaren stood too. I'm going with her, he said. The guards didn't even look at him. The guest is not invited. Step away. Syria's hands clenched. Her eyes flickered with blue light. He stays with me. The guards took a step forward. That was not a request. Jaren saw Syria's jaw tighten. Her breath slow. She looked calm. But something inside her was waking up. She stepped in front of Jaren. Lifted her hand. And spoke just 2 words. Do not. The guards froze. Literally. Their bodies stopped moving mid-step. Their armor sparked. Their visors flickered. Then. They dropped to their knees. Jaren stepped back. What did you do? She didn't answer. Her glowing hand dropped to her side. Her voice was cold now. Stronger. I held back until now. But I'm not hiding anymore. Sirens echoed from deeper inside the ship. Red lights began blinking. The air changed. Thicker. Charged. Alive. We need to go, Syria said. They'll send more. Stronger ones. Jaren followed without question. She led him down a hallway he hadn't seen before. The walls were darker. Older. Dusty. Not part of the polished show. This was real. They reached a locked panel. Syria touched her wrist to the scanner. It buzzed red. They've revoked my access, she said quietly. Jaren pulled the stone device from his pocket. It was glowing bright blue now. He pressed it to the door. Click. The door slid open. They didn't expect you to still have it, Syria said. That's why we still have a chance. The hallway inside was full of blinking wires and empty screens. What is this place? An old chamber, Syria said. From before the Empire took over. It's where their machines still sleep. She walked up to a console and placed both hands on it. Her skin glowed again. And the screens came alive. I'm going to shut down the link to the high signal, she said. If they can't call for help, we have time. But I need you to watch the door. Jaren nodded. I've got you. He stood by the entrance, pulse racing. She wasn't just brave. She wasn't just smart. She was something else entirely. Free. For the first time in her life, she wasn't obeying. She was choosing. And she had chosen him. The lights dimmed as she worked. Jaren heard footsteps far away. But they didn't come closer. Not yet. After a few minutes, Syria stepped away from the console. It's done. We have 12 hours before they can restart the signal. Jaren looked at her, amazed. Why haven't you done this before? She looked at him, her voice softer now. Because before you. I didn't believe I could. They stood in silence. 2 rebels. 1 moment. 1 bond. Then Syria smiled for real. They tried to separate us. But now they'll have to chase us instead. They sat on the cold floor of the hidden chamber. The lights above them flickered quietly. The sirens had stopped. For now. Jaren leaned against the wall, breathing hard. He looked at Syria. She wasn't glowing. Not anymore. She looked tired. But peaceful. Like the storm in her mind had finally quieted. You should rest, he said. She smiled faintly. No time for rest. Only truth. She turned her palm upward and opened her fingers. A small light floated above her skin, soft, gold, and warm. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Do you know what this is? She asked. Jaren shook his head. No. But it feels familiar. Like it's alive. She nodded. It's not a weapon. It's not a tool. It's a part of me. He stared at it. Why show me this now? She looked at him carefully. Then said. Because you're the only one it responds to. Jaren's heart skipped. What do you mean? She held the light closer to him. It floated toward his chest, slowly, carefully. Then it vanished. Into him. Jaren gasped and leaned forward. His vision blurred. But not from pain. From feeling. Memories that weren't his. Thoughts that weren't spoken. A voice, hers, whispering in his mind. You see now. You feel now. He looked up, wide-eyed. What was that? She stepped closer. It's called the core spark. My people have it at birth, but the Empire controls it. They shape it. Twist it. Lock it. Unless it bonds with something wild. Something like, you. Jaren blinked. You gave it to me? She nodded. No royal has ever passed the spark willingly. Until now. He stood up, unsure of what he was now. He didn't feel stronger. But he felt seen. Heard. Like the universe had opened a door inside him. So that's why you chose me? Because I'm wild? Syria smiled. No. Because you're free. She sat down again, her hands resting in her lap. All my life, I was told to obey. To marry whoever was chosen. To become a tool. But I wanted more. She looked at him now with steady eyes. I didn't choose you to run away. I chose you to run toward something. Something bigger. He sat beside her, quiet. The weight of it all pressed down on him. So what happens now? She leaned her head against the wall. Now, the spark inside you grows. And when it's ready, it will wake up the other sparks too. Jaren turned to her. Other people? Other, royals? She nodded. They've been sleeping for years. Forced to forget who they are. But if one spark connects with another, freely, it will spread. His eyes widened. You're not just trying to escape the system. You're trying to end it. Syria smiled again. This time, with something new. Hope. I don't want to destroy my people. I want to free them. Jaren took her hand. It was warm. Steady. Real. Then I'm with you. All the way. For a long time, they just sat in silence. Two people. From different worlds. Sharing one spark. And somewhere, deep inside the ship, far from the cameras and guards, the spark began to grow. Its light was small. But it was free. The wastelands were not part of the beautiful ship. No lights. No gardens. Just cold metal. Old wires. Walls that hadn't seen life in years. Syria and Jaren moved through narrow tunnels, away from the clean parts of the Empire. They had no food. No maps. Just time. And each other. We're almost out of reach, Syria whispered. Their signal is weak here. Jaren looked around. You've been here before? She nodded. As a child. I used to hide here, when I still felt things. They stopped near an old maintenance bay. The doors were rusted shut, but Jaren pried one open with his bare hands. Inside, it was dark. Quiet. Safe, for now. Syria sat down on a broken panel. She looked pale. Tired. Her glow had dimmed. Jaren knelt beside her. "What's wrong?" She gave a soft smile. "The spark is growing, but it's draining me. It's choosing you now." Before he could reply, a sharp click echoed through the tunnel. Jaren froze. Syria looked toward the sound. "They're here." 3 dark figures stepped into the hallway. Not guards. Not soldiers. Hunters. Elite units. Built for one purpose, capture. Their suits didn't make noise. Their faces were covered. And they didn't speak. They simply raised their weapons. One of them pointed to Syria. "Return. Or the human dies." The voice was robotic. Empty. Syria stood up slowly. Her legs shook, but her eyes didn't. "Let him go. I'll return." Jaren stepped forward. "No. I'll go. Just let her." She raised her hand to stop him. "No, Jaren. You were not chosen to be taken. You were chosen to end this." The hunters moved closer. Jaren's heart pounded. He looked around, no weapons, no way out. Just Syria. And her spark. The hunter closest to her stepped forward, too fast. He raised a glowing weapon. Aimed it at Jaren's head. In that moment, Syria changed. Her body straightened. Her hands opened. And the air around her began to pulse. The floor trembled. Lights cracked above them. Her voice echoed like thunder. "Enough." The hunter fired. The shot never reached. It froze midair. And then shattered like glass. Syria's body lit up. Gold. White. Blue. The spark inside her burst through her chest, then into Jaren. He fell to his knees, gripping his chest. But it didn't hurt. It felt like becoming something new. The hunters stepped back. For the first time, they looked unsure. Syria stepped forward. "This is my bond. You cannot take what chose to stay." The energy in the tunnel exploded outward, quiet, but unstoppable. A wave of force swept through the walls, knocking all 3 hunters off their feet. They slammed into steel. Weapons shattered. Silence followed. Jaren looked up. Syria's glow faded slowly. She dropped to her knees beside him. "They'll send more," she said. "Stronger ones." Jaren took her hand. "Then we'll keep running. Together." She looked at him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Not running. Fighting." They stood side by side. In the middle of the dark. Surrounded by silence. But for the first time. They weren't afraid. Because now the Empire knew. She wasn't alone anymore. She had chosen a human. And that human had chosen her right back. The message came while they rested in the hidden tunnels. A flicker of blue light on the old screen. An offer. "Human Unit Jaren, you are granted safe passage home. No charges. No record. Leave the girl. Exit alone." Simple words. Cold words. Words meant to tempt. Jaren read it twice. Then looked at Syria, who was sleeping beside him, exhausted, glowing faintly. She didn't know yet. He turned back to the message. And answered with one line. "I wasn't here for safety." Later, when she woke, he told her. Her face didn't show fear. Just sadness. "They want you back," she said softly. They'll offer anything. He nodded. They already have. And I already said no. She looked at him, her voice heavy. They won't stop. You could still live. He touched her hand gently. This is living. Not hiding. Not running. Choosing. She looked down at their hands. Her eyes softened. Then let's finish it. They moved toward the edge of the ship's inner core. The oldest system. The place where the control signals began. Where her people's obedience was built. And where it could be broken. Syria stood before the glowing pillar at the center. Jaren stayed behind her. Ready. Willing. She turned once. If I do this, I lose my title. My bloodline. My place. Jaren nodded. Then lose it. And gain yourself. She smiled. One last time. Then placed her hand on the core. Light rushed out, pure, golden, and wild. The energy flowed not just into her, but into every spark connected to her people. Across systems. Across space. One by one, the chains in their minds shattered. And for the first time in generations, they felt choice. Back on the diplomatic floor, leaders panicked. Alarms blared. Messages were sent. But no one answered. Because the people they once controlled were waking up. And it started with one human. Who said no. When Syria collapsed, Jaren caught her. Her body was cold. Her breath weak. But her face was free. She opened her eyes slowly. Did it work? Jaren nodded. They felt it. All of them. She tried to smile. Then I was never offered. I was freed. He carried her out of the old hall. No more guards came. No more orders were shouted. Because something had shifted. Not just in her world. In all of them. Weeks passed. The empire lost its grip. The spark began to speak. To rise. To choose. And Jaren? He stayed by her side. Not as a ruler. Not as a prize. But as her equal. They stood together on the observation deck. Stars stretching across the black sky. She leaned on him, stronger now. Brighter. Alive. They offered me to you, she said softly. But what you gave me was more than escape. He looked at her, smiling. What did I give you? She turned to him. Eyes glowing softly. You gave me freedom. And across the stars, others whispered her name. Not as a princess. Not as a prisoner. But as the first one who chose. And beside her, the man who showed her how. Milky Way the end.